Innovation can happen at any age. That's why Women in Retail Leadership Circle has released its latest report, The New Next Gen: Women Who Have Transitioned Their Careers for Successful Second Acts. This list features 21 fearless women who are reinventing, disrupting, and making an impact, all in their own different ways. Access the report to learn about the career journeys of these inspiring women. You can download the New Next Gen report today at mytotalretail.com/resources.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Jennifer DePasquale. I'm the president and co-founder of the Women in Retail Leadership Circle. And today I am joined by Rena Hurst. She is the Chief Business Officer at Shipt, the same-day delivery service across retail for the U.S. And in this episode, we are discussing Shipt and their focus on women in leadership roles, the growth of the company, and so much more. So let's get started. Thanks so much for joining me, Rena.
Thanks for having me today.
It's great to see you. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you found your way to Shipt. I know you sort of grew up in retail at Target, and of course I want to hear all about Shipt as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I actually started my career in engineering and management consulting.
Oh, wow.
And after spending a decade in those fields, realized that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And at that pivotal moment said, how do I make a key pivot here, right? And I invested in business school. I went to Georgetown, got my MBA, and found this kind of love and passion for strategy and marketing. And what better place to bring strategy and marketing to life than retail?
Yeah.
Right? And so I, ended up, as you mentioned, spending another decade then at Target and had a very amazing career there, growing up through the merchandising organization. So I bought beauty categories and I bought some bedding categories and, really got that kind of traditional, real merchandising experience. And then again, made a slight pivot inside of Target and started focusing on how we would grow brands and big brand partnerships. And, kind of had like a, dream job at Target. I got to work on accounts and with brands like Levi's and Disney and help bring those brands to life. And
so fun, so collaborative.
It was exciting, right? And it was a new day for Target, and it was fun to be a part of so many of those great experiences. But when the opportunity came at Shipt, it was an easy decision to pivot yet once again and move to the kind of fast changing world of digital shopping and same day delivery. And, what I love about working at Shipt is I get to work with over 120 different retail partners and brand partners. And, the scope is just incredible, right? So it started out as traditional grocers, but we do so much more now, whether it be pets or office supplies or beauty and health, consumer electronics, home goods, and even apparel. And the industry and retail is changing so quickly, and just getting to be on this side of it has been such an amazing opportunity. And as Chief Business Officer, I get to kind of work across the end-to-end life cycle. So whether it be finding the right new partners to bring onto our platforms, then working with those brands and retail partners to grow their business, and then lastly, kind of bringing those experiences to life through our digital merchants and our catalog team through the site experience. So it has been an exciting journey with my 1 year with Shipt, and excited about the year we have ahead of us and the years to come.
You've kind of had it's such a cool role because you have such a broad stroke view, right, of all of these retailers and all of the verticals and how they've been, navigating over this past year. So it's such an interesting move for you. So you've been in the role for a year. And how large is the company at this point, Rena?
We have over 1,000 employees at Shipt.
Yep.
We service, again, over 120 retail partners across the U.S. And we reach consumers, basically in all metros, big metros across the U.S. So almost 80% of the U.S. has access to Shipt.
That's great.
Which is just phenomenal.
Well, talk to us a little bit about, obviously, it's been such a challenging year for so many of the retailers, during COVID, and there's been such a huge boom of online shopping. And I know Shipt has seen such tremendous growth and traction. Tell us, like, what are you thinking that some of the takeaways and lessons are that you've seen from 2020? What can you glean for our listeners in terms of these 120 retail partners that you're working with?
Yeah, Jennifer, 2020 was just what a year, right? For all of us personally, professionally, and retail saw so much change in 2020. And certainly it Shipt, right? As we kind of lived through the pandemic and the peaks and valleys of last year, there's things that we had to do to move quickly. We were very agile. And at the core of it, we stayed true to who we were and what our value proposition was. And we stayed very flexible. And we remained flexible, and we kind of pivoted throughout the year to be able to keep up with what was happening. And I'll give a couple examples. Our shoppers. We call our shoppers the secret sauce of Shipt. They are how our brand comes to life each and every day, right? On behalf of our retail partners and our consumers. And we started the year with 100,000 shoppers. We ended the year with nearly 300,000 shoppers.
Wow.
So to grow at that scale and to keep trust and service and high levels of reliability at the core of what we do was a huge challenge. But when we rose to the challenge and were able to meet and keep up with the demand, right? With the first kind of peak of COVID, and then all that progressed throughout the year. And then, of course, the very important Q4 season. Secondly, our consumers. So, our model before the pandemic was a membership only model. Last year, we had the opportunity to introduce a new way to reach more consumers across the US. And that's where you can pay for an order to be delivered to you without having a full year membership. And so by doing that, we reached more consumers. And
I didn't realize that was rolled out in the age of COVID. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
It was a great way to just get the name of Shipt and the reach of Shipt out to more consumers across the US in a time that was essentially needed, right? We went from a luxury service to an essential service.
Yes.
And we were able to do that with that model. And that just kind of showed, again, some resiliency and flexibility of just kind of thinking about what was best for the consumers out there. And then lastly, we ended the year with over 120 retail partners. And, what was primarily a grocery delivery business has grown into so much more. I mentioned it, but we can access and touch kind of consumers across so much beyond grocery, whether it's home goods, pet supplies, office supplies, more and more industries are kind of emerging into this space. And, we feel ready we onboarded those partners last year at great pace, and we feel ready to continue that growth and continue to capitalize on this positioning as we head into this year and think about the years ahead.
Let me ask you this. So growing from 100,000 to 300,000 shoppers, how did you guys handle the communication of that and just navigating that, especially with everything that was so changing? And your business, is so localized, right? You're dealing with stores that had different regulations and different protocols and all of that happening last year. How did you guys handle the communication of it? And onboarding everyone?
Yeah, communication is key, right? It's a key part of how we did it. And it's an important thing to do. And we take trust and service very seriously. And when we onboard a retailer, we learn their business. We are kind of retail nerds at heart ourselves, right? So we learn their business and we talk about their business and we communicate their business to our shoppers and to our members. And so that's our job. It's our job to know the retail and to help our shoppers do the best that they can every day. I think as I think about hiring and how did we maintain that great level of service, we have really stringent policies about who gets hired and, what we look for in our shoppers. Are they great communicators? They pay attention to detail. Do they love shopping? Right. And that kind of combination is so important to find those right, just those right shoppers that are the right fit for Shipt and, have that elevated kind of level of service as they think about how they bring the store to your door. And we've been very laser focused on maintaining, a high level of quality and service as we've expanded so rapidly in the year.
Well,
And
that's great.
I'll end by saying, like, a lot of our shoppers really do care about their communities and are very local
Mhm,
focused.
mhm, mhm.
It's just a great way to get to know, for to bring people on that really love their local community, really love those local stores, know the community, want to be a part of the community. And this is a great way for any consumer, that loves to do those things to come in and be a shopper for Shipt.
Yeah, for sure. Such a good point. Um, so I want to just dive in a little bit in terms of, I know Kelly Caruso is at the helm of Shipt, and I know that a huge initiative is, that Shipt has such a strong leadership representation of women at the executive level, but across all roles at the company, which is so exciting. And obviously women have been decimated in the workforce, and Kelly and executives like yourselves have been such champions for women at the helm. So why has that been such a focus for the team, and what has it meant to the growth of the company? How has it helped?
Yeah, let's start by talking a little bit about the numbers, Jennifer. I think Kelly has been very intentional in how she's built out her leadership team, and like you said, from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
But her executive team has really evolved under her leadership. 6 out of 9 executives today, so peers of mine, are women. And even beyond that, 40% of her staff, of her leadership team, is diverse. So, she has
Those
been
are
very.
that's an incredible number for a company of your size. I mean, that's significant. That's making an impact.
And it's intentional, right, Jennifer? I mean, if you think about retail and you think about shopping, women are often, sitting at the head of their household making purchasing decisions for their house and for their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that representation. You need that
Mm-hmm.
representation, all the way from our shoppers all the way to the top.
Was that, I was just going to ask, so when you say that was intentional, so was that Kelly's, was this from the start, when she was in that role, or did this take time, to grow and develop women in roles and seek out, people in executive roles that were a great fit? Like, how did that come about? Because I know that so many companies right now are looking to, become more diverse and looking at their D&I initiatives and all of that. And all of that takes such time and effort. How did you guys do that? Share a little of the secret sauce.
It does take time, Jennifer. It can't happen overnight. And you can't just wave a magic wand and have everybody, the right people in the right seats. It takes time. It's an intentional decision. It's about thinking about what's right for every position and to round out the team. And we have a very, I call it very dynamic team as I think about my peers and how we work together. But we all come with different strengths, different lived experiences, different backgrounds, retail, consulting, different backgrounds that we all come from. And it's magic, right? When you get the right people in the right seats and you get that diversity of thought, it's pretty magical. And I think it's the right thing to do. And it certainly has helped our business tremendously in the past year.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the numbers. You were going to head down that path, and I think I got excited at your leadership women numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I would end by saying, I shared the numbers. I think that when we think about the future of the company and we think about continuing to have this intentionality about, from the bottom to the top, about who's in which seat and how we're driving the right decisions. And, it's really important for us to continue to increase diversity across many levels and across all levels of the organization. So that means not just gender diversity, but diversity of background, whether it be race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, diversity of thought, different lived backgrounds and worldviews. And it's important for us because that's what America is, right? And we want to be more representative of who our consumers are at the end of the day. So we can make the right decisions on their behalf, right? Adding the right retailers and the right brands and telling the right stories that matches what they care about in their lives. And so you'll continue to see us focus on that. It certainly has been a focus in the past, but you'll continue to see us continue down that journey in the years to come.
And do you think that it has impacted the growth of the company in terms of those numbers?
I do. And I'll just point to we know it's the right thing to do. We know it's been right for our business, and it'll be something again like we continue to focus on in the years to come.
Because, and the reason I ask that is, obviously you guys have had great success, but people are looking for case studies, of diversity on boards and diversity at the helm and all of that. So I'm positive that you guys are going to be a company that people look to and say, diversity has been championed here and it's working and it's successful. And here is, proof positive. So that's great to hear.
I certainly hope so. And I hope we can be an example for others, right? In thinking about how you serve your consumers and your constituents the right way and representing, America in your own team. Again, like I said, from your shoppers all the way to your
It's such a valuable message on so many levels. Well, let me pivot the conversation a bit. I want to talk a little bit about leadership and your leadership style and Kelly's leadership style. How would you describe that at the top?
I am a big cheerleader, Jennifer. I love data and insights, but I love to take those insights and turn them into a vision. And it's my job. It's my job to kind of motivate everyone to kind of get behind the numbers, but know what to do about it. And I think setting a vision, being a cheerleader, being a kind of rally cry for the company is incredibly important. And letting then the team kind of go and be empowered to go drive the results and make things happen, but making sure we're all aligned on like a common vision and we know what we're going after as a company. I'm also very collaborative. I think it's so important. You can only solve so much on your own. And I know that as someone who has to work in partnerships, but even internally, as I work across my peers in product and engineering and operations, like I can't solve problems by myself, nor can my team. And that taking down the walls, kind of being humble and, opening the door to other opinions is the only way we can grow and scale at the pace that we have. And so I think behind, a collaborative environment, I'd say lastly, I try and show up each and every day very authentically. And it's so important to me, Jennifer. It's been like a big part of my, brand and what I care about. I'm a mom, I'm a working professional, and it's important to me to show up to work and be honest and, talk about my vulnerabilities and talk about what's going well and not going well and bring people along on the journey and, bring down those walls and kind of work in a way that feels really just natural. And I can be myself. And, if we can all be ourselves, I think we can reach our own potential.
It's so true. And I think it shows such a strength of leadership to say that, to be honest with you. And I do think that one of the silver linings from this experience in 2020 has been the humanity and the empathy that's come from, true leaders to say like, hey, I just don't have all the answers. I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need the team to rally here because, I could pretend that I do, but I just don't, so we're going to have to figure this out together. And it's okay to, you've seen over the past year, you'll see kids in the background and dogs and pets and this and that, or, people caring for other people in their homes, this and that. And it's a nice, refreshing way to work. Once upon a time, you as a female, you weren't allowed to, pretend that kids were your focus or, a huge portion of your day and that kind of thing. And it's kind of level set that mentality, which I think has been a lovely, silver lining.
I think that's so true, Jennifer, and so well said. And I think every person at Shipt has met my 2 kids and my dog and probably my husband at times.
Yep.
Like there were times during the pandemic where I was, homeschooling and taking care of people and working. And I think, just being open about what you're working on and struggling with and what time you need and just putting it out there into the world. And you'd be amazed at how much grace you get. And I think Shipt is just such a company of like resilience and just like leaders who are real and are open and give you the grace to have the space you need. And we cover for each other and we help each other. And
Yep.
it's been amazing to be a part of a company that's been so open to just allowing me to be myself.
I love that. I love that. What do you think? Can you think back on to, I know you're a year in the role. Are there some leadership skills that you're still working on that you're like, hey, I really need to tweak this? And how do you go about doing that?
Yes, there's always something, right? We're all
I know it's such a softball question. And every female that I know is working on
Yeah, I
some
could probably
portion.
give you a long list, but at the top of that list, Jennifer, the thing I want to get better at is patience. And working for a
Good one.
company like Shipt, you see, and having come from a traditional brick and mortar retailer, like I know the pace of retail, and I know the pace of Shipt, and they're very different. And we work fast, and we are nimble, and we're ready to go, right? And I have to always remind myself that not everybody works at that speed and that pace, and that having patience and listening and taking time to grow at the rate of that retailers are ready is an important thing. And I will always work on patience in my personal life and my professional life. But it certainly has been a good lesson again in this kind of more startup, fast-paced environment. How do you kind of temper that with what's right for the partner you're working with?
That's a really good one. And it's such a nice segue into where I was going to head with my next question. So obviously you've grown, you've had, a huge boom and success. How do you continue to foster creative thinking and collaboration as you guys are growing so rapidly in such a fast pace?
There's always more growth to be had. I know this from my days at Target, and I'm always looking for more growth here at Shipt, Jennifer. But one thing that's been hard, right? Like just to put it out there, it has been hard to collaborate. It has been hard to be creative. It has been hard to do the things we normally do in this Zoom environment. And I'm a whiteboarder. Like I love to sit at a whiteboard and solve a problem and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a whiteboard, right? Like
Yep.
a conceptual whiteboard, yes, but I don't have a whiteboard. And so this goes back to kind of my last answer about patience. It is about asking the right questions and about being curious and sitting down with a partner and really understanding what they're trying to accomplish and being open to it and marrying that then with what we're trying to accomplish and finding that common ground and figuring out how we don't just distribute value or trade value, but how we grow value and how we can
Mm-hmm.
do that together. And that's what I get excited about. And that's what I'm most proud of my team and the way they think and the way they show up for our partners. But, I think there's so much growth to be had. I think this industry is evolving and changing so quickly. And if we work together, we work creatively and collaboratively with retailers and brands, we can have it all. We can have it all and we can find ways to grow together. And I think it's just incredibly important. And I do look forward to getting in front of a whiteboard again soon and doing this. But in the meantime, we'll stick with good old Zoom calls and
Yep.
asking the right questions.
Yeah, hopefully those days are in the near future where we can all be together. I know that's what we're most looking forward to. Well, tell me, I'll give you one last question and then I'll let you wrap up. But what are you most excited for the year ahead? What are you most looking forward to?
I'll start with something personal. My family and I are moving to Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Shipt is headquartered. And I have just been waiting for the moment to get down there and be a part of the community and really be like embraced and kind of a full part of the Shipt team that's down there. And we've all been virtual, right, for the last year. So there hasn't
Yes.
been the opportunity to make the move, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good for like a new set of culture, a new set of people and a new town and all the things that come with that. So
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that answer. That'll be such a great experience for you. It'll be so bonding.
it will be wonderful for all of us, I'm sure. And then I'd say secondly, as I think about the year ahead, I think, you heard me, heard my love for retail, you heard my love for partnerships. I just think we have just scratched the surface on finding the right partners for Shipt, growing that business and continuing on this journey of same day delivery, helping retailers meet more consumers where they are on their shopping journey and just delivering more trust, service, and convenience to more consumers across the US.
Oh, so well said. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a great conversation. I had so much fun chatting with you.
It was
I
my
could do this all day. This is the best
Hey,
part of the day.
hey, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rita. Well, thank you everyone for listening. And for more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. Thanks. And until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.
Meet the 21 women who have reinvented themselves and their careers after the age of 40 in Women in Retail Leadership Circle's newest report, The New Next Gen. Download your free copy of the New Next Gen report today at mytotalretail.com/resources.